Hello. Okay. This little impromptu mini training IG Live is about relationships. So for those of you who may not know, I also coach couples. I'm a relationship coach, and whether I'm coaching a couple or just one person, my one-on-one clients or my group clients about their relationships, it doesn't matter because it's the same tools. And I truly believe that if I'm just coaching one person, that I can help them and they can help their relationship improve just on their own terms. And I was reflecting back on multiple of my coaching calls this week with my clients, and it was so many of them cover relationships, right? Mainly what I'm going to talk about today is a relationship with your partner, so your husband or your wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is, because I get so fired up about this when I hear my clients tell me the thoughts they're having about their partner, and I 100% relate. Like, I've been in their shoes. I know the thoughts that they're thinking, and I know how they truly believe what they're telling me is fact and is true and is the story, and they're sticking to it. And the only way for them to feel happy is if their partner changes. And they don't say it in that way, but that's essentially what we think we need in order to feel better in our relationship. Is our partner needs to change. Our partner needs to respond to me in this way. Our partner needs to show affection in this way. Our partner needs to listen to me in this way. Our partner needs to, make this much money or get that job or look a certain way or speak to my family like this, or whatever it is that we think our partner needs to do in order to improve the relationship. And it hit me again so clearly when I was coaching, multiple of my clients and the couples that I coach. And I was talking to my husband about this. And when I sit and reflect back on all of the thoughts that I had in my relationship about my husband or my fiance or boyfriend, whatever he was at the time, and how painful it was for us in our relationship, and how I really truly couldn't believe in that moment that I could feel better in this relationship unless things were different, unless things definitely changed. And really what I meant by that was he needed to change. That's truly how I felt. I probably described it much differently back then because you didn't want to admit that he must change in order for me to be happy. We never described it that way, but in relationships, we often fall into this total victim mindset where we're completely blaming our partner for how we're feeling. And when we do that, we have no control. We have no control of our emotions. If we are blaming somebody else for how we feel, that means they're the caretaker of our emotions. That means that they're the ones who are responsible for us feeling loved and appreciated and good and fulfilled and desired and wanted and whatever else it is that you want to feel in your relationship. And you completely notice if you're completely dependent upon your partner saying or doing or behaving in a certain way, and only when they behave that way do you feel loved. Do you feel appreciated? Do you feel wanted? Do you feel desired? Do you feel seen? Do you feel understood? And this is so important to check in with, because if you're feeling this disconnection in your relationship, if you're feeling that you want so badly for things to get better, but you just don't see how unless they change, unless they do something different, and you feel so justified that you're right. And so I want to give you an example that I know will relate to all of us, because we all have this within us. It's how our brain works. It's how we literally are programmed. And if you can understand what I'm about to tell you, you will be able to better see what you're creating in your own relationships. So I was listening to one of my clients this past week, and when we were discussing, I had them give me all the thoughts they had about their partner, and they were feeling frustrated in their relationship. And so I had them tell me these thoughts, right? And thoughts like, so if you can relate, and these are also thoughts I used to have about my partner. So these aren't verbatim what my client said. This is a compilation of what most of my clients have said, including myself. He doesn't see me for who I am. I feel like I have to do all the changing. I feel like he's never present with me. He doesn't listen. He's not sharing all of his feelings. I just don't feel the connection I want to feel. We'll never be how we used to be. He's so selfish. He doesn't think about me as often as I think about him. He's not noticing the things that I'm doing to make him happy. I would do that for him. Why won't he do that for me? So that's just one story, right? Us, the stories in our head, the compilation of thoughts that we have that shape the story in our head, and all of those thoughts, that story creates the emotions that we feel. And so the story I just told, which is I very much can relate to years ago in my relationship, I felt disconnected, unloved, unappreciated, and I felt that he was inconsiderate and selfish. Okay? That didn't feel good. That did not help my relationship. And I did not realize that was a story. I just believed it was fact, and I had all of this evidence. Oh, I had this little black box of evidence that just proved. So if anybody came at me to try to dispute it, or if he did, I'd be like, oh yeah, but what about this and this and this and this? See, I can prove to you this super painful fucking story in my head to make our relationship even worse. That's essentially what I was doing, but I was so determined and convinced that I was right. My story's right. You're wrong, and you need to change in order for us to be better. That's not how it works, you guys. And if it does, it's temporary. If you can get somebody to change for you and they're not changing from within themselves, it is temporary, because resentment will build. If it's from a place of obligation, if it's from a place of force, it won't be long lasting. You are in control of you. You are in control of your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and your actions. Nobody else is the caretaker of your emotions. It is not your partner's job to make you happy. It is your partner's job to take care of their own emotional well-being, for you to take care of your emotional well-being, and then to come together and enjoy each other. But we don't see this often in our relationships. We become codependent and expect to be completely and fully understood, as though they're in our mind and they have the same dreams and goals and desires and hobbies and interests as we do. No, you don't. Learn to appreciate the differences. Learn to appreciate that you don't all share the same love languages, that you don't all know how to express your emotions in the same way. Why don't we give ourselves time to appreciate the differences within our relationships rather than to compare and say, well, I would never do that. I always do this for him. Why doesn't he do this for me? Selfish and considerate. Boom, boom, boom. The story continues. So if you have a story about your partner, and again, you can apply this to your mother-in-law that you're struggling with, your mom, your dad, your sister, your best friend, whoever it is in your life that you're having a hard relationship with, you can apply this. What are your main thoughts about that person? And some that I mentioned, right? So let me just throw them out there again. He's inconsiderate. He doesn't listen to me. He's selfish. He thinks about himself and what he wants more than he thinks about me. He doesn't do this. We just don't go on a deep level anymore. We don't have our connection. We're not how we used to be. If that's my story, okay, you have what is called a reticular activating system in your brain. Okay, so here's a little brain science at you that I am no expert on, but it registers enough to where it's like, oh shit, that makes so much sense. So you have this reticular activating system in your brain, and that is a filter, essentially. It is a filter in your brain, and you create what is being filtered in and what is being filtered out by what you choose to focus on, because there is so much information in the world that if you took in every single piece of information, it'd be like a computer crash. It would just explode. Your brain can't handle all of that. So we filter in and out what the brain can process and handle. And you shape that filter. You shape that focus of whether positive things coming in or negative things coming in or loving things or hateful things coming in based on the thoughts that you have, based on what you choose to focus on. So if your filter towards the people you love, towards your partner, is right now focused on, we're losing our connection, we're not close enough, we're not who we used to be, they're inconsiderate, they never hear me, they need to do some work, or this isn't going to be better. If you're absolutely convinced that that's what's happening in your, or they're rude, they don't support me, they're, they don't make time for me. All of these thoughts, if you're absolutely convinced that that's what your partner is, then that's your filter. So it's almost as though even if they did change, if you don't change your thoughts about them, they can never do anything right. Because your filter will find evidence to prove it true. Your brain wants that filter to find more thoughts that are like it, right? It's like, oh, this is a good system. This is efficient. The brain wants to be efficient. It wants to confirm that this filter is running properly. So let's find evidence to prove it true. Oh, yeah, he is inconsiderate. Oh, he is selfish. Oh, yeah, see, he looked at his phone just then. He doesn't care about a deep connection. Like, we search for all these things when that literally the same exact thing could be happening. Your husband, your partner, your wife, whoever it is, your mom, whatever, could be behaving the same exact way. They literally don't do anything different. And if you had a different filter about them, they're loving, they're kind, they're hardworking, they're affectionate in their own way. They show me love in a way that feels comfortable to them and I appreciate it. They're funny, they're silly, they help, they're so helpful. I love how, whatever, right? I'm kind of describing my husband right now. Then I don't see the little things I would have seen if my filter was negative, because then it would search for the little things that annoy me and bother me. But rather, I've literally retrained my filter for my husband because I was feeling angry and unloved and resentful and unsatisfied and unsure and full of confusion and uncertainty. And that's not where I wanted to be. And so I did this work on myself a lot. And over, I would say, honestly, I saw a big change. I'm doing this work for years, but then really going deep on it in my relationship for probably a solid year and a half. But in the first 6 months, I really started seeing a difference. And I had to get to a really low place before I really started doing the work more consistently. And that is another reason why I feel I'm a very valuable relationship coach, because I've seen when my clients talk to me, and in couples sessions too, I'm sometimes like, you guys, I promise you, I have had these same exact thoughts and I feel completely differently now. I do not have these thoughts anymore about my husband. I do not have these thoughts anymore about myself. And if they do come up, which is okay, I know how to retrain my focus so I don't feel hate towards my husband or hate for myself or whoever it is I'm trying to improve the relationship with. So it is so possible. And this just came up on a call that I had this past week where I was just like, oh my gosh, I hear you. I get it. I know you feel so stuck. I know you want to improve this relationship. I know you want to feel happier. I know you want to feel better. I get it. But I have to show you your painful story right now. I have to, because it is a choice to focus on this. And super important here, this does not mean that you just think happy, loving thoughts about every single thing that your partner does all the time. You can disagree. You can have negative emotions in your relationship, but I help teach you how to process them, how to not react to them, not to react out of anger or insecurity or jealousy, but rather to recognize that's what's happening, to feel it, to process it, and then communicate and express what you're feeling what you're thinking, but owning that that is your story. And I walk through these conversations with my clients. Either if it's one-on-one or in a couple session, I walk them through the conversation together because it matters how we communicate to our partner. And most of the time we're communicating out of frustration or anger because of the story we have going on in our head. And what has that ever done for your relationship? Normally not anything good. So it's not that you just agree and have happy thoughts about every single thing that somebody else, your partner, or whoever it is, does in your life. You can disagree. You can feel disappointed. You can feel sad. You can feel insecure. But you want to be able to not sink so deeply into that to where it affects even more that relationship in a negative way, but also your relationship with yourself and all the other relationships you have in your life. So learning how to communicate with your partner in a way that serves your relationship and learning how to express how you're feeling, but only without blaming. That's the best way to put it. Learning how to express how you're feeling. Getting excited talking about this without blaming your partner for how you're feeling, which is what we do. We blame. You're the reason I'm unhappy. You're the reason I feel this way. Versus when you said this is what I told myself, and that's why I'm feeling this way. Can we talk about this? Versus, you made me feel this way. You're a jerk. You shouldn't have said that. How dare you? Right? Why do we do that to ourselves? It's okay that we do, but that's why coaching and just uncovering these things and learning to take responsibility for your own thoughts and emotions, it opens up so much space for love and for appreciation. Like, I am so happy in my marriage. I feel so loved, so appreciated, him for me and me for him. And if this was me telling this to me 3 years ago, I would have been like, oh, he must have completely changed then because that's the only reason how this could be successful, right? That's what my mind would tell me. But it's amazing to be in such a good place in your relationship. We're not perfect. We still have our shit just like everybody does, but we work through it so much differently now. We don't let the little things get to us anymore. Our communication is strong and fun, and we work through the harder conversations in a way that's productive and not in a way that builds resentment and anger and to no resolution. So pay attention to the story you're telling yourself, the filter you're creating in your brain for those relationships in your life, because it really matters. And you can retrain your brain. You can retrain your thought process about the people that you love while learning how to express yourself and to share your emotions, but without blaming. And this will completely change your relationship, and it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. So anyways, I was excited because I got pumped up after a coaching session and looking over and thinking about all the sessions I've had recently with my couples and my clients about their relationships. And this has just been a really common theme. So yeah, I hope it was helpful. If you guys have any questions, or if you're wanting to get some coaching, a relationship coaching with your partner, or just one-on-one with me, then I'm more than happy to get on a consult call with you and talk more about how you can improve your relationship and feel more love and more appreciation. Okay. Bye, guys.